He's an amazing guy. I learned so much from him, but one of the biggest things I took away from his coaching sessions was that authenticity. Like, no matter what circumstances you're in, you create the scenario in your head and then just behave authentically under those circumstances for who you are. And like, he broke a bad habit of mine where I was in this bad habit of just trying to sound a certain way, just treating my voice as a tool where I'm like, okay, I'll just do this and it'll sound right. He's like, no, don't just try to sound that way, be that way. And like, there's actually a subtle, important difference there. Mm-hmm. So no, that's what I like about video games is like, yeah, it's wacky, it's out of this world, but like, you're still a real person in there. So.
Hello, and welcome back to Cold Read the Podcast. Last week, I promised you guys another advice segment, so here we are. I wanted to talk with you all real fast about character study, especially when it comes to the audition process. I've sort of talked about this before, but I wanted to go a bit more in depth on this topic. And let me preface this by saying that this is based on my own personal experience and self-education. I have not taken any formal classes as of yet. I'm merely sharing what I have been through as well as the knowledge that I've accrued from my teenage years until now. So this past week, I was cast for an original comic that is also having a dub made alongside of it. Yes, I'm spoiling this now, sorry, not sorry. The main characters of this comic are all children. And as you might expect, based on my natural tone of voice that you can hear right now, I'm not super great at kids' voices. However, the character itself is a bit more prepubescent, which makes it a bit more manageable for me. So during the audition process, the writer told me that they were looking for more of a Brooklyn-style accent, something similar to Joey from Yu-Gi-Oh! So I put that accent on and pitched my voice up. The character's voice is now starting to take shape. I then thought to myself, how can I take this one step further and make it really believable? Well, as I'm sure most, if not all of our listeners are aware, the years between 10 and 14 come with a lot of changes, especially to our tone of voice. So all I had to do, really, was start pushing his voice higher until I hit that break between my chest voice and my head voice, which gives him this squeaky little charm that tends to poke out when he gets excited. And by adding that small little detail, it already sounds more believable. Let's talk about another example. This one was for a role that I was cast for a few months ago. This role was for a ruthless mercenary who would do anything at all to exact his revenge against a religious group that destroyed his upbringing. While his backstory was fleshed out enough to truly understand the character, I always try to think about character motive and belief. This character in particular was not raised by their parents, but instead was raised on the streets, with crime and violence being their teachers. This would mean that they wouldn't know how to conduct themselves in a normal manner compared to anyone else. And with their motivation being revenge above anything else, I would imagine that their emotional state would be very chaotic. Most of the lines for this character involved me yelling as they take place during combat, so things are very tense and bombastic. But despite that, you can really accentuate what emotions that character is feeling in the moment by trying to put yourself in their shoes. Without spoiling too much, there is one part where my character is betrayed by someone he thinks very little of, someone who has basically never showed up on their radar and is very similar to an ant beneath his boot. What would the character be feeling in this moment? Surprise? Shock? Embarrassment? Rage? All of these emotions are viable, and when combined together, they can turn the character into a true monster. And I try to exemplify that by giving the lines of my character screaming at his betrayer the proper energy and emotional context. And by that, I mean I imagined everything I despise in this world in front of me and just let loose. I won't demonstrate it here, but if you want to hear it yourself, Between the Stars, it's on Steam, hint hint, wink wink. Now, applying all of this thought and foresight into your auditioning process may seem a little daunting at first, but I promise you that the more you practice it, the better you will be with it. Really try to study characters in shows or movies, or hell, just work customer service for over a decade, and you will become a real people person in no time. Or if anything, if you don't want to do that, go hang out at Walmart for about an hour and you'll pretty much be an expert. try to get yourself in the head of the characters or the people that you see. Be confident in your decisions and your choices. And above all else, have fun with it. It's fucking acting, for fuck's sake. I'm sorry. I was really trying not to swear, but anyways, I'm done elaborating over all this. Yeah, let's get to the show with your hosts, Zamoody, Booka, and that guy that sounds an awful lot like today's guest, Future Me. Take it away, folks.
Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are while you're watching or listening to this podcast. Welcome to Cold Read the Podcast by voice actors for voice actors. Intro was by Eldurrino, very nice. I started to think the voice kind of sounded a little bit like young, his name just fell out of me. The dude that did Grease. John Travolta, very young John Travolta.
Yeah, kind of. Like I honestly, I love referencing that movie. Like whenever someone says like, "Hey, do you want to like hang out or whatever?" I would like, why would I want to hang around with you dorks? You know. So yeah, that might have had a little bit to do with it.
Yeah. So it came in. Quick shout out to Byte VR. Welcome to the community. Hello, Magmorta. Hello, Fire and Brimstone. Good to see you here. Welcome, everybody here. Hope you all had a good week. If you have an opportunity, please do us a favor. Give us a follow, give us a like, give us whatever you can. Tell us where you're coming from. We'd love to see some little action in the comments section, either our videos or our podcast. It's free to you, and it does us a huge favor in moving forward. So, yeah. In addition to that, if you'd like to talk about anything in particular, go ahead and email us, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to join our Discord, the link is in the description. Come in for some advice, come in for some chat, leave watching Fire and Brimstone's Daily Memes, which is always awesome. Yesterday, a little freaky when I did see what was in the background. So,
the Ed Sheeran
yes.
thing, that was hilarious.
Yeah. It took me a while to see that. If you have any audio, anything you're working on, like Eldurrino working on his voice, or if you're working on an accent, a demo reel, a particular part, drop it in our audio, and we would love to listen to it and give you any type of constructive feedback. We've done it to each other, and we've grown because of it, and we look forward to listening to yours. But with all that said and done, first off, thank you, Connor Howard, aka Conrad. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it, and being our guest of the week. Looking forward to catching up with you. But before we do that, let's check in with everybody else and see how their week has been. And let's start with Booka.
Hey.
Hi. How was your week?
It was good. I ended up spending the weekend meeting my new coworkers out in Annapolis, so that was exciting.
Oh, wow.
I learned that not only are they a very laid-back crew, but if I ever attempted, they drink me under the table very easily. So yeah.
Wow.
On the voice acting front, I now have the wonderful opportunity to do my best Monkey D. Luffy impression for the event that we're doing at Sin City Anime. So I am just building up my repertoire of character voices lately.
Sure.
Excellent.
So that's going to be it's very serendipitous timing with you working on new character voice, because that's pretty much me for the next month.
There you go.
Yikes.
Character study. That's all you gotta do. Just think about what the hell a character's like, and you can. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. If anyone's familiar with the "I Want to Live" scene from One Piece, there's a debate on whether or not we will do the 4Kids dub style. So that's going to be interesting.
Okay.
So we'll see. It's a silly little parody project that we're going to be doing at Sin City Anime for our Anime Live After Dark panel. So I'm excited about it. It's going to be great. I have gotten very good with my villainess voice, though. My antagonist, my very angry antagonist lady. So that's going to be fun.
Nice.
All right.
Yay. When
you better
is
record all this so we can like listen to it after
yes,
the
please.
fact.
Absolutely.
Yes, I will. We'll absolutely record a take. Can't promise that we'll be able to record it live, but I'll definitely get a dress rehearsal recorded for y'all.
Awesome. When is Sin City AnimeCon happening?
Sin City Anime is November 3rd through the 5th.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be at the Gold Coast Casino.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, literally a month to go. Hopefully there's tickets available if anyone wants to go check out Booka and participate.
Yeah. I only have about 400 lines to memorize by then. It's fine. It's great.
Yikes. All right. Well, thank you, Booka. Appreciate you being here. Dorino, how's your week been?
It's been okay. As I said in the intro, I got cast for a role that I honestly didn't think I was going to get, solely because the guy originally reached out to me asking if I would do composition work for him, writing the scores for his comic dub. And then I told my pricing, and he's like, "Nah, I can't afford that." But I see you do voice work as well, and I was like, "Yeah." So I auditioned and we talked about it for a while, and then I didn't hear anything for like a month and a half to 2 months. And then he reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, I liked your voice the best, so we're going with you." So, that's gonna be super fun. Like I said, I don't really ever do like children's voices by any means. As you can tell, my voice is a bit on the deeper side. So I'm definitely more accustomed to the larger men and screaming stuff that I'm sure everyone knows me for. Either way, though, it's super fun. I'm really excited to see how it turns out, and I love the animation. The guy is very, very talented artist, so excited to see where that goes. Real quick, like interim thing. I gotta say, Connor, your shirt is fucking awesome, dude.
Oh, thank you.
I love that we're both repping where we're from. You got Cleveland, I got Minnesota. You know.
Oh yeah.
We out here.
Well, thank you. Game recognizes game. All right.
And well, that and just the general style of like the NES and the whole like vaporwave, synthwave stylistic.
I love this shirt. It's brand new. I just got it last weekend. So
nice.
It's super dope.
Thank you.
Love it.
And for those of you that want to know what the fuck Dorino's talking about, come check it out on YouTube. If you can watch the video there.
Yeah, please. Otherwise, I'm still adding more stuff to my portfolio. I have another song in the works that I don't know how to describe it, to be honest, and that's probably the first time that this has ever happened because it is so different that I just the only words I can think of is Payday 3, which I have been playing a tremendous amount of, and I think it's starting to like slowly seep into my regular life. Not to say that I'm gonna start like robbing banks or anything like that, but
Hope not.
It's certainly a song that could fit into like a heist movie or like an Ocean's 11 kind of thing. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, just that's basically it. Just a lot of Payday 3 and music production shit.
Yay. Well, that's good.
So
Wait.
yeah. So tell us about your week, Zamoody. How was it?
Sure. Not much to tell, to be honest. I did walk out with a car this week, so I drove up to Ontario,
Nice.
where the
I
car.
thought you were gonna say Canada.
No,
Like what
yeah.
the fuck? You just took like a 3,000-mile road trip.
So the prices in San Diego cars, unfortunately, are way too high. But if you go a couple hours north, they drop by about $2,000 to $2,500, and I would drive 2 hours to save that much money. So we did. I walked out with a hybrid, so now I'm in the world of hybrid cars, and considering my commute, 50 miles a gallon is definitely a big difference from 17, where my Escape was when it decided to die. We did start another production in the community theater, so I'm still going to be involved with community theater. We have an original play called Christmas Cookies and Chaos, which is half play, half review style, which will be interesting. I got cast as the narrator for that particular one for some reason. I don't understand why. So we'll look forward to doing that. Those performances will be December 8th, 9th, and 10th. And I'm heavily involved in the production team putting it all together. So it's going to take up a lot of my time. But you know what? In all honesty, I think being able to flex my acting muscles this time around is going to be helpful for me in the long run. So I look forward to what pops out of all of that. getting to know a lot of new people from San Diego Community Theater. A lot of talent. I'm blown away at the amount of people that came to audition and how talented they were. So this is going to be a very, very good show. I'm looking forward to seeing the end results, and hopefully, I mean, we're not supposed to broadcast or anything like that, but we'll see if we can get a recording out there for the community to check out. So looking forward to it. It's
awesome.
Yeah,
Yay.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear, man.
Nice.
Thank you. So with all that
I'm
said,
surprised that you're surprised that you are the narrator for any project.
I have to agree. Yeah.
no, there was other parts. Had my wife actually wanted to, she could have taken the CEO role, which is the villainous role of the show, and my wife plays a mean villain. I would have looked forward to it, but unfortunately, she's too busy. She's too busy doing her stuff. All right, let's check in. So Conrad, how was your week?
My week was interesting. It's kind of a long story, but I actually got laid off from my job last week. A week before. So yeah, 2 Fridays ago, I guess, technically. So this past week was my first week between jobs, I guess. It's been a weird month already. So I was at this job for almost 2 years now. October 21 is when I started it, and I'm being honest, I liked it there. I liked what I did. It was good work. I worked with a good group of people. I didn't actively hate my day to day, which is saying a lot for most like 9 to 5 office jobs, which is mostly what I've done since college. And yeah, I felt pretty good about where I was there generally. Things had been like shaky all year though. There was some writing on the wall about the financial situation. So I ended up getting laid off, and I was told for purely budgetary reasons. So it wasn't like a, performance-based shit canning sort of thing, which is nice. That takes some of the sting out of it, like knowing I didn't actively do anything wrong or, screw anything up, but being told like, hey, yeah, like just as a like effective immediately, we're eliminating your position, yada, yada, restructuring, buzzwords like that. And there's still plenty of feeling of betrayal there for sure. There's still a lot of like, where did this come from? Like out of nowhere. But no, like things had been kind of wacky for the last few months. And so I was like, I kind of figured like, okay, I guess I could have seen this coming. I didn't, but I guess I could have. And it's one of those things like I was already kind of looking at the door anyway. I was sort of thinking about making a move for the last month or so. And it's like one of those things like, okay, well, I just have more time to apply for new jobs now, I guess. And so yeah, this past week I've just been kind of keeping busy with errands, applying for new jobs, and going to the gym a lot. I'm just kind of trying to go to the gym a lot more, working on just, staying active. I mean, I'm getting some muscle movement.
Ooh,
which, I'm pretty happy with. If I can just show that really quick.
Again, come to YouTube. Check it out.
Yeah, my left is a little bulge here. There it is.
That one's a little different. There you go.
So yeah, I'm trying to do my forearms more often now. I really gotta. I look too top heavy without like skinny forearms, thick upper arms. Anyway, but no, that's it was one of those things like, hey, this sucks. I'm like upset. Obviously, this is not. I'm not happy about this. But back of my mind, I'm like, there's some relief here for sure. There was definitely some relief because at my day job, I was going into kind of the busiest time of year, which is like late fall. There were a lot of projects coming up that I was pretty stressed about, and to suddenly have them evaporate and not be my problem anymore suddenly on a Friday morning, I was kind of like, okay, like never mind then. So
it was no notice. It was no nothing. It's not like 2
no
weeks from
notice
today?
whatsoever. It was, it was literally just that morning. From like I clocked on, and then I had a 9:30 meeting. I was like, okay, I wonder what this is about. And as soon as I get in the Zoom, it's a Zoom call too. It wasn't like in person. I was at home. I was working from home. And when I get in the Zoom call and I see that it's my manager and some guy from HR, immediately I'm like, okay, that's not good.
There's the death meeting right there. So put on the blindfold. Really. Here we go.
So it is one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can like your job, whatever. It's, it's a good situation, but at the end of the day, no company's going to be loyal to you the way you can be loyal to it. So it's just, you got to look out for yourself. That sounds cynical, but like I really think when it comes down to your livelihood versus the bottom line in a business decision, like your livelihood loses every time. That's just kind of the way of the world. So yeah, it was one of those things like it was shocking. It was kind of like suddenly at like 10 a.m., my day has completely changed. I'm like, okay, well, it was funny because like I did have that thought of like, well, I got my day back. Like I can do whatever I want. I can do like, and so
Right.
I did get like my final paycheck at basically the end of September. I kind of like the pay period finished out, so I got my final, and then I'm getting severance through October.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay,
it's
that's
fine.
not bad.
Like, yeah, there are, it's a safety net. I'm gonna be okay, I think. And you know what? It's like with all this free time, I thought last week I would be doing so much more auditioning and just I actually did update my website last night. I was doing some work on my voiceover portfolio website, but I haven't spent a lot of time in the booth as much as you might think with all this free time, because last week I was just kind of busy with errands and gym and stuff like that. But I do look forward to having more time to, because I feel like having time to just grind out auditions and really put myself out there has been probably my biggest problem the last year or so. Because then, like last year, we mentioned this before we went live, but I got married last year, and so last year was almost entirely eaten up with like wedding planning. That was like so much of my bandwidth and free time was dealing with stuff like that. So no, sometimes I think about like, okay, I can apply for a new day job. I can apply for a new full-time 9 to 5 sort of thing and get back on that track that I've been on most of my life. My adult life at least. But I also think, what if I just sort of completely change trajectories and just start freelancing full time? Like I could write freelance. That's I was a journalist by trade my whole career. So like, I could just do that on my own time and like kind of tie that into voiceover and be like a full-time creative freelancer basically. And that's an interesting thought, but it comes with that kind of scary prospect of like, it's all on me though. Like I don't have I'm so used to having consistent,
Right. Yeah.
income, paycheck and all that salary. So it's scary, but it's an interesting time. So sorry, that's a very long answer to how was your week. But
That's totally fine. So I mean, and that was going to be one of my questions. Is like, are you seeing this as an opportunity to springboard into diving deep into VO? But I mean, I mean, I understand. It is absolutely scary because you're used to that 80-hour a week paycheck, or every 80 hour every 2 weeks. Sorry. And when you're out on your own, you start worrying about taxes, and that turns into its own thing. And well, I mean, good luck to you, my friend. Hopefully you use this opportunity wisely, or you recharge your battery and you find something.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Well, and this is the second time we've had you on. So let's catch everybody up real quick. How did you get into the whole voice acting thing? Kind of give me the 2-minute spiel on that one.
Yeah, sure. I guess I'd been kind of a performer most of my early life. Like in high school, I was in high school drama club. I was into improv and sketch workshops outside of school. So like I'd always had a bit of a performance acting bug for a while. I really got away from it in college. And so like in my early adulthood, I'd completely abandoned being a performer really, except for I was podcasting here and there. That was like my main hobby for a while. And then, when I turned 30, which was 3 years ago now, I kind of got, in my head, well, I'd thought in the back of my head throughout my 20s, I thought about, acting with just my voice. Cause I'd been playing these like more and more involved video games over time. Like I think video games are what really inspired me, like playing the really story driven, well acted games that were coming out when I was in my 20s, kind of inspired me. Like, what if I could do that? And it had been an idea for a while, but not one I ever acted on until I turned 30. And I was like, okay, let's get serious. How do we actually do this? And I started doing research and met my first coach, and it was really, I was off and running from there. So I think what really got me off the ground and actually involved and actively doing it was that first coaching experience. Because like without some sort of guidance and structure, I wasn't even really able to get started. I had nowhere to start. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Where did you find your first coach?
I believe it was oh my God, I can't remember what it was called. It was like some sort of not quite, it wasn't Facebook. It was something similar where like you can find local meetups or local groups, like
Okay.
Can't remember what it's called, but there was a Central Ohio voiceover group on there, and I kind of just put a post on there. I was like, hey, I'm looking to get started, but I don't really know how. Anyone here? Because I remember talking, I was like talking to some people who do voiceover either full-time or part-time, and I kind of got some advice from them, and one of them mentioned, coaching is a great way to get started, and I was like, okay, great. And so yeah, I kind of put myself out there like looking for a coach, and some guy just reached out to me, and he happened to be a coach and producer from Columbus, Ohio, and his name's Ron Allen, and he was my first coach, and I kind of went through a program with him where he showed me the ropes, and kind of it was like weekly training. It was great. It was like really structured, and I got a lot of my early skill set sort of in place. Mm-hmm. And I've kept learning since then. I've worked with other coaches since then, but that was kind of like where I got the motivation to really start putting myself out there and build a presence and all that.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah. So I know your trajectory is really, I mean, it's gone up very recently. I know you've got a lot of projects that you're working on right now. Some that you can talk about, some that you can't.
Sure.
Real quick before we get into all of that current stuff, where was your first? What would you consider your big gig or your kind of your big break?
My first role that I really sunk my teeth into and really enjoyed and got a lot out of and felt like a project I was proud to be a part of, because there were those early jobs where I was just doing, I can't even call them jobs. There were those early projects that like, unpaid, just for fun, just for practice, that I don't even really show off or like brag about, because, they were amateur hour, both on my part or whatever it was I was in. Right. But yeah, the first project that I was really proud to be a part of, I would say it was the Archeon podcast. It's like an original audio drama that my friend Caleb Hughes produces, and he writes it, stars in it, produces it. Really talented guy, really great guy, good friend of mine. And yeah, that role that he trusted me with ended up being like, I really enjoyed the process. I really enjoyed kind of the feedback of having a product to hear myself in. Like that was the big moment. It's like, oh my God, you can hear me in this. So that was probably like I hesitate to use the term my big break, but that was kind of like when I realized the payoff of the process of voice acting, I guess.
Yeah. And it's funny, I call it the big break only because it's kind of the feeling of going from like amateur level stuff into more of a professional level stuff. It's not like this was the first opportunity that you had, but it's like, it's the first moment where you open up and you're like, oh, I can do this. This is something that I really like to do.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So audio dramas have been kind of one of your fortes, right?
Yeah. Audio dramas were my bread and butter for a long time, and they kind of still are. It's a format I feel like, it's an easy format to wrap your head around. It's easy to like understand. Okay, so it's a podcast, but it's fictional and like scripted. It's like I love how it is like, I guess a successor or or a descendant of that classic radio play sort of production, like, Green Hornet kind of thing. And I just love the I guess the, what's the word? The, tradition or the ancestry of like, just creating these stories with just people and, their voices and the sound effects and the music. And, I don't know. It's really fun. And, I've done a few that I'm really proud of. They're Archeon, but there's this other one that, shout out to the Strata podcast is another one, is an audio drama that I heard myself in, and I was just blown away. One of those things of like, I remember doing the lines. I remember like recording my character, but then to hear it in the finished product is a completely different thing, where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe like sound and like, hearing the other people in the scene and the sound design, like this is incredible. So stuff like that. It's, I find it very fun to be a part of. And in fact, I'm actually writing my own audio drama right now.
No way.
So yeah,
nice.
That's been a long term. I've been kind of, chipping away at it for a while now, over a year now at this point, at least. It's like a script I have, where I have like 5 episodes planned out. I'm drafting the 3rd right now, 3 of 5. So I'm hoping at some point relatively soon to like be at the point where I can start looking at producing it, get it cast, get it off and running. And I'd love to hear that. That feeling of like hearing a finished product that I'm in is one thing, but then like to hear something that I wrote and directed and like, I'm also in, but like it's this whole orchestra, like that'd be like my magnum opus. And I'm hoping to see that completed eventually. But that's that's something I'm like, putting time into when I'm able to.
Gotcha. It's a back burner kind of project. You're moving yourself forward.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, I have more free time now. I really should just like kind of sit down and really, really hack away at it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Is this the first time? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say we need to talk at some point because I need to, I guess for lack of a better term, I need to hire people for my my audio services company. That includes writers, voice actors, musicians, et cetera, et cetera. So
okay.
Yeah, you and I need to talk later, and I would love to be involved in helping you finish your audio drama, because that is another thing that I would like to do as well. Is I did my rock opera, which was kind of, and
you were so excited about it before. Why does it every time you mention it, it's like going down in scale?
Because that's just what happens. Like the longer it exists, the more flaws you find in it, right?
Oh my god!
So I listened back to it, and I'm like, wow, I could do such a better job these days. So
Mr. Perfectionist over here,
right?
Sounds like there's time for sounds like it's time for a sequel. Or something.
A reboot?
Not a sequel.
Maybe a reboot.
Definitely not a sequel. I'm not. That storyline was fucking garbage. It was fun. It was fun. Don't get me wrong, but it was
spiritual successor. Then maybe.
Sure. Yeah. Let's go with that. Anyways, so I really wanted to ask you though, because you had mentioned a couple days ago that you just got done wrapping an on-camera project.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
I'd love to. I'm super excited about that. It was a collaboration with another friend of mine, a frequent collaborator of mine who I've worked with a few times before, who's also incredibly talented. His name is Keegan Larwin, and he's a filmmaker. He's an animator. He does CGI animations. If you saw some of his work, his portfolio, you'd be blown away. The stuff he's able to do with just like 3D modeling and whatnot. But he also just has such a vision for scale and story and setting up the shot, and he's a genius. I've done a few independent animations with him at this point, which are short little 3D animated movies that I was in. They're on my website. There's a couple of them there. But yeah, earlier this year, actually, it might have been late last year when he started talking to me about it. But yeah, late last year, he started talking to me about, hey, I have this short film I want to do next year. I'd love for you to be a part of it. And it's actually part of a kind of extended universe that he's been working on. It's called this, it's a series called Tale of 10 Cities. And it's this futuristic kind of cyberpunk, but more optimistic, less dystopian. There are some dystopian elements to it, but it's bright, flashy, cyberspace sort of robots flying around everywhere sort of setting that he has multiple stories kind of contained in. And what he's doing is he's having me be the voice of multiple different robots of the same model, where it's like,
oh, nice.
Oh,
it's
sure.
like if C3PO is a protocol droid, it's kind of like if I was voicing all the protocol droids in his different stories. And it's really cool because I'm one of the little floating robots in his one story. And then in this short film we shot recently, I'm another one. And I'll be a third different one in this other thing that he's planning. So it's really cool. But yeah, earlier this year, we started planning we're going to be shooting in August and September. And we have all these scenes planned out. And basically my character is going to be a little floating CG spherical robot. But since it's a live action film with other actors who I'm sharing the scenes with, they're on camera in person, but I'm holding up a big rubber reference object for them to sort of react to and have an eye line for. Right. And I also have a little chrome thing for a reference plate, they call it, for the CG or the VFX.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it was just incredibly fun. We spent a few different weekends throughout August and September just in the woods near Cleveland where we all live, and we were all just kind of out in public parks shooting these scenes, and I was reading off of script, and I actually had a cameo where I physically am on camera as a different character. I'm some other guy who's in the beginning of the movie, and that was really fun. So yeah, I think I hadn't been on camera literally since high school, and that was for school projects. So I mean, not counting streaming and stuff. I mean, I've on camera work as an actor is not something I'm familiar with at all. Like I've rarely done it, and so it was outside my comfort zone, but it was a lot of fun just being on set. And when it's, because just knowing Keegan and knowing how talented he is, when it's done, I know it's going to be amazing. So I'm really looking forward to that. It'll be on YouTube, but I think he's also talked about planning to do some sort of premiere, like renting out a theater. Maybe the guy's crazy. He's no, cool. It's going to be really cool. I'm like really looking forward to that coming out. And yeah, no, just having being able to say I shot a short film this year was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, if Tommy Wiseau can do it, anyone can do it.
Absolutely.
And I will also say too, like I was kind of hoping you would say that like you kind of took like the Andy Serkis route where you were like dressed in a green suit and had like a ball on your head or whatnot, you know, as a reference.
Just walking around on all fours, like in the woods.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, I wish.
That's
maybe
awesome.
Next time.
Yeah, no.
So your portfolio also includes video games that you've jumped into.
A couple, yeah. My first games, not counting a visual novel I did a little while ago. Yeah, visual novels, I guess, is a type of game, but no, yeah, I have my some Steam titles coming out actually, which is really exciting. One is they're both actually listed on Steam right now, but one I can't go into detail about. But the one I can talk about in detail is a strategy RPG called Gales of Naeli, and it's developed by Blind Coco Studios. They contacted me, I want to say sometime last year, about being one of the characters you can sort of command in the game. It was a Kickstarter project, and yeah, it was really cool. It's actually a really funny story because I did this visual novel a while ago. It was like a Halloween themed visual novel where I play a werewolf, a guy named Edwin who has the curse of the wolf skin, as it's called, and he's like a former soldier, like a disgraced knight who is like ashamed of his curse and yada yada and all that stuff. And he's kind of like this emo, like down, like, you know, just embittered and, you know, frustrated guy. And it's really fun because this will be important later. He has red hair, scars, and an eye patch. And later on, I was contacted by the developers of the developer, just one guy, of Gales of Naeli, and he's like, "Hey, I have this character I'd like you to do." And he shows me like the character art and, you know, all that stuff. And he is also a knight with red hair, eye patch, and scars.
Funny.
And what was really funny is he was referred to me by one of the developers of the visual novel I did. So like I did that, and that sort of led to me getting the other game, and they're almost identical characters. But my character in Gales is he's more witty, he's more clever, he has a more lust for life about him. But I thought that was really funny, and that's actually on Steam right now. There's a demo you can download. There's a playable demo of Gales. My character's not in the demo as far as I know, but when the full game is out, you'll be able to hear me in that. So that's exciting. That's kind of coming along. I don't know when the full release is planned, but it'll probably be in early access for a while the bug fixes and all that. But the other game that's actually listed on Steam, but it's not released yet. I can't really say much about it except for I'm really excited for that to be finished because I had a lot of fun recording for it, and it's just a fun project. It's I can say that it's a sort of a retro shooter, first person shooter, which I think is really cool. There's like that boomer shooter revival it's a little past its prime. Like it was really big a couple years ago, but it's still pretty vibrant community for that. And I'm just really excited for that. And yeah, so that I recorded my lines for that earlier this year. Mm-hmm. There might be more I have for that too, though. But yeah, I mean, I kind of got into VO because I mostly wanted to do games. That was like my big thing. A lot of people aim for anime or cartoons in general, but for me, it's like video games were kind of my where my passion was, I guess. So it's cool to have those in the works.
For sure.
Very nice. Wow. And honestly, yeah, I see that you've definitely put in a lot of work. I've linked the not only the website but the Steam demo to the game. Very good website. You did this all by yourself?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Actually, I did have a designer help me out early on. I update it myself. I maintain it myself. I do sort of the when I have new work to add to it, I do the updates myself. But the skeleton of it, like the original format, and also my logo, were all from a gentleman who, man, what was his name? I'm trying to remember. It was a long time ago. I kind of just paid to help me out, and God, I wish I could shout him out. Let me get back to you on that.
No problem.
He's really cool. No, man, that's gonna bother me now. I'll look it up.
That's fine. I'll let you.
But I had someone help me out with that. So.
Good.
Yeah.
I see you're also linking an ACX narrator profile. Is this something you're actively working on, or do you have a book out?
Oh yeah, I actually do have an audiobook. I did. So I have 2 audiobooks to my name so far. One was a while ago, and the new one I actually just released earlier this year. It's called Redemption's Edge. That was actually a lot of fun to record for. It's a nice classic medieval fantasy sort of revenge tale. There's like sword fighting and stuff like that, and that was a lot of fun. There was some tasty villains and heroes to. It's nice because I feel like I've done a lot of villains in my work so far. Because I think, to Dorino's point, I think he and I maybe just fall into that sort of range pretty naturally, that sort of emotion naturally. At least that's been my experience. And so it was really nice to at least be the protagonist of a book for once. I feel like I don't get enough protagonists, but that'd be so that I was pretty happy with. That came out earlier this year. And yeah, my ACX profile I put there just in case, like, that's just something else to redirect to. I don't audition for audiobooks very often because I kind of have to be in the mood for them, because the 2 that I've done so far were both royalty share, and it's kind of like I'll only do it if I see I guess it has to be the right book that I'm actually interested in, and I also have to be in the mood to put that kind of time into it because they are pretty labor intensive, and it's like I have to be ready for several months of just recording every night basically. But no, I like them. They're I mean, I really like recording this last book. It's just they're a lot of work, so I don't go after them that often.
Gotcha. The other thing that I noticed that you're linked to is thevoices.com. Are you an active user? Have you been a user in the past?
That's another thing. It's kind of like, hey, that's on there just to be on there, but yeah, I'm not super active on Voices much either. I did have a paid subscription for a while, and I was using it for a little while. But it, I think I got shortlisted for a couple things, but I never actually landed a paid gig from that.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of like, I don't know if I probably just wasn't putting enough time into it. I probably wasn't going after the right stuff that suited me. But so I could go back and maybe be smarter about how I was using my subscription, but it just didn't seem worth it at the time. So
it's tough.
I just kind of let it lapse.
Like, is it like any of those sites really? Like, I certainly noticed too, is you have to put in like so much time to even have the potential of receiving a callback or being listed for a role. Like, I don't use my backstage as much as I probably should, but I mean, I'd say over the course of the last 8 months that I've had it, I've probably put in a good like 40 to 50 auditions through there minimum, and I've only gotten callback for one thing, and I don't even know if I'm getting cast for that yet.
Jeez. Yeah. Actually, I also had a backstage for a little while too, but it was also just, it didn't seem like I wasn't using it right, or I just didn't have enough time to make it worth it, I guess.
In my eyes, you basically have to put aside all of your hobbies and just say, I'm going to come home from my day job, and this is all I'm doing the rest of the evening.
Well, I mean, it's not even that. I mean, you literally have to be a button chair. Like, as soon as something comes in, you've got to put in that audition just to even have a shot, because there's just so many people waiting for them.
Yeah,
That's what it
I don't
seems
know.
like. Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, yes, obviously there are some people out there that as soon as they hear a certain voice, they're like, all right, close that role. They're already cast or whatnot. But I also feel like I have auditioned for some things and I have heard back from them, even though I feel like I was really late into the process. Like, you
never know.
Yeah, the project was supposed to start casting in a week, and I, get word back. Granted, that's not for backstage, but I'm just saying overall, some people are just different about that.
Yeah. I'm more referring to when it comes to the pay to play stuff, because you'll get 30 emails, but by the time you get home, 15 of them are available.
Yeah,
So
true.
something to keep in mind there. Coming up on the last 10 minutes or so, I don't know if anybody else has questions that they want to bring up. Booka or Eldurrino, I know I've been talking a lot this one.
You're good. Booka, do you have anything?
I think the first thing that kind of pops into my head is what I guess sort of for folks who haven't really dove into the different areas of voice acting, what do you feel makes the biggest difference between, say, audiobooks, audio dramas, and video games? That, like, what are the key differences that you notice, and what makes those differences, like, what of those differences sets different role types apart where you prefer one over the other?
Interesting. I guess I would say that they all represent different opportunities to me. They all kind of give me different rewards in terms of as an actor. So when it comes to audiobooks, I guess what I get out of them and what I like about them is it's pure storytelling. It's all down to you to create the tone. And what I like about, being the different characters, this is a challenge, but it's also the easy part, if that makes any sense. Like when you're doing a book, you have to be all the characters. So you can't strain yourself too much to sound completely different every single time, just because you're just you're going to sound like you no matter what. Mm-hmm. So it's just going to have to be something consistent, something that you can maintain for however long that character is on the page. But at the same time, they have to be distinct. Like, you have to keep track of, so this character sounds like this and this character sounds like this. You have to make sure you're consistent with that. So that's an interesting challenge about audiobooks that I always found kind of fun to navigate. And then when it comes to audio dramas, what kind of like I mentioned earlier, what I liked about them was it's kind of like that pure storytelling ethos, similar to audiobooks, where it's you and your voice, but you have the benefit of sound effects and music to help set the tone, and also the other actors you're sharing the scene with. A lot of it comes down to that's just those are the opportunities I was able to have throughout so far. So it's kind of like I take what I can get, and I just get what I can out of it in terms of enjoyment. But for video games, I guess what I like the most about them is, that you're putting yourself into something that someone's going to interact with later. And, it'll be a memorable experience to, they're playing something and hearing you. And also you get to be a character in such fabulous situations, like fantastic out of this world situations. So it really frees you to really chew the scenery and be, and have fun with it. But you still, no matter how wacky you're getting, you still have to be authentic the entire time. So that's why video games to me are the most interesting challenge. You can be in these amazing circumstances, and that you're going to be part of an interactive experience later. But the entire time, you always have to underline that with you're still being an authentic person. Your character is just behaving naturally under the circumstances they are in. I was probably the coach I've worked with the most in the last year or so that I got the most out of was David Sobolov, who you may know from some of his work. He's in the Transformers stuff. He does Transformers movies, and he's an amazing guy. I learned so much from him. But one of the biggest things I took away from his coaching sessions was that authenticity. No matter what circumstances you're in, you create the scenario in your head and then just behave authentically under those circumstances for who you are. And like he broke a bad habit of mine where I was in this bad habit of just trying to sound a certain way, just treating my voice as a tool where I'm like, okay, I'll just do this and it'll sound right. And he's like, no, don't just try to sound that way, be that way. And like, you know, there's actually a subtle, important difference there. So no, that's what I like about video games is like, yeah, it's wacky, it's out of this world, but like, you're still a real person in there. So
love it.
Yeah. Very well said.
Yeah, absolutely. Connor, I see you've got plans to be in a con panel this upcoming year.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm like I'm like still getting my head around that. It's a lot of it's an interesting circumstances because that is a comics convention, like kind of a comic / cartoon / pop culture convention that'll be hosted in Carson City, Nevada next year. And of course, I live in Cleveland, Ohio, so that's a bit of a long haul. So.
It's a bit of a trek, yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, wow. It's a bit of a hike. But so the guys who are running it are the kind of the you know, the brains and the muscle behind a brand called 97 and Now Productions, who are the producers of an audio drama I've been involved in for a while called Murphy's Inc. And that's one of the more recent projects of mine. But yeah, they are also organizing the convention, and what they want to do is have a Murphy's Inc. panel at the convention. And so I was talking to them a little while ago, and we were just chatting, and they're like, "So you're coming to the con, right?" And I was like, "What, you really want me? You really want me there?" And they're like, "Yeah, of course, we're doing a Murphy's Inc. panel, and we'd love to have you there." I was like, "Oh, that's incredible!" So, yeah, I guess that would be technically my first con panel appearance. It's a year away though. It's like next September, October. I can't remember. I think it might be next fall at some point. But so yeah, I got time to plan it. But yeah, I'll be like, okay, well, I guess I'll look at flights, get a hotel or whatever. No, so that should be a lot of fun. Also, just to meet, you know, guys I've worked with and kind of collaborate with for a couple of years now, like in person. Finally, you know, get some FaceTime and yeah, just visit Carson City. I've never been to that part of Nevada. I've been to Vegas a few times, but I've never been to like the Reno, the northern Nevada area. So that'll be cool.
Nice. I'm sure that checks off one of your boxes that you probably have is be in a con. Yeah. No, I go to cons a lot. Well, I go to one big one every year in DC called MagFest. That's like my favorite. That's my one big thing I do every year. It's my favorite con I ever go to. But I've always had a bit of that back of my head daydream of like, wouldn't it be cool to be on a panel one of these days? And hey, there you go, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you know if it's going to be sort of a Q&A style thing? Is it a showcase, interactive?
It's a good question. I'm not sure yet, actually. I assume it'll be mostly Q&A oriented, but it might be kind of interactive, and they might have us. I'm assuming mostly Q&A, but we'll see. That's a good question. I'll find out when I get there, maybe.
Yeah, well, you got a year to figure it out, so it's
yeah.
We'll follow up with you next year, and we'll see what happens.
See how it went. Yeah. There we go.
Very cool.
Sorry, I have one last question to wrap up the episode. So, 2 years has passed since we last spoke to you.
Oh my God! Here we go.
No. This is not the pizza question.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Sorry. This is a bit more sentimental, I guess. So obviously you have been through a lot. Like you have been a part of numerous projects now. I mean, as you just said, you're doing your first panel at a convention. Super awesome, super thrilling. Out of everything that you have done over the last 2 years since we last spoke to you, I want you to think about all of that and share one bit of advice that you have learned, the most important bit of advice that you could come up with based on the experiences rather that you've had over the last couple of years.
Good question. Yeah, you know, that does make me think of that concept of like, if you could tell yourself 3 years ago what you're doing right now, like what would past you think of that, and like would you believe it? And I guess what I would say, looking back on 2 years now, I would say my advice to my former self, anyone else who's listening, who's curious, who might also be starting out, I would say that a really important lesson I've learned is that the lesson of pacing yourself, but persistence, like keeping a pace that is sustainable, not burning yourself out, but not giving up either. There's a balance there. There's that balance of making a passion project, a labor of love, making it fit into your life in a way that feels natural, that is, healthy. Because sometimes I'm hard on myself about, how much work I'm doing and what my output is. And like I mentioned earlier, like, oh, I don't audition enough. I really need to audition more. But when it comes down to it, the truth is I'm auditioning as much as I can, or as much as I want to, or as much as I'm able to. Right. And it really does come down to, are you working at a pace that works for you? And I think I am. I think generally I have been. I just kind of fit it into my life where I can. And also I have found it so important. I've gotten so much payoff from this attitude of just keeping an open mind and just pursuing opportunities where you can. Don't be too quick to say no, but also don't be afraid to say no when, depending on your comfort level with certain things. But like, I guess, just being easy to work with, easy to direct, open to opportunities, and ready to learn constantly, being ready to learn. That has been the attitude that I think has served me well so far, is just, don't have too much of an ego. Just know that you're still learning. You're always going to be learning. But also, like, the flip side to that is know your worth at this point, know your skill at this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm definitely, I know I'm capable of so much better performances than when I started out, obviously, but I know that I'm going to be capable of even better later down the road. Like, I'm always going to be getting better, or that's the idea, at least. And as long as you are confident in your skills, but also humble enough to know that you're still learning, and that you are professional enough to take direction and be easy to work with, and persistent enough to keep going after those opportunities where they present themselves, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Because, like, I think people get hung up on, I'm not making it, I'm not getting where I want it. Like, well, you got to, like, really look inside and figure out for yourself, what does making it look like? Because for me, making it is just enjoying the process. Like, as long as I'm enjoying the process, as long as I like what I'm doing while I'm doing it, then I don't really ever have to worry about making it. I'm already doing it. I'm already doing these things that I didn't think 5 years ago I wouldn't have thought possible. Right. I wouldn't have. 5 years ago, I was not even really considering, like, oh, well, am I going to be an actor or voice actor, like, or whatever? And now it's out there. Like, I'm doing it. And so, it's just, enjoy the process. That I think that would be my number one advice. Like, as long as you like doing it, just don't lose that spark, and everything else will kind of fall in place, generally. Because if you're being an actor just to be an actor, just because you want the attention or whatever, but you don't actually enjoy the process or the craft of being an actor, then you're going to get nowhere, because you have to love it. Mm-hmm. If you don't love it, you're going to get nowhere. So that's what I've learned. You have to love it. Got to be professional. Gotta know your worth, and just ride it out. So
that was very well said. And I don't mean to, I guess, backpack off of that, but I do want to add to that, just because you make such a great point of persistence. Is there's nothing wrong with taking a break. Like, as I know everyone, especially when you're so passionate about something, you just want to do it over and over and over and over. And for some people, that works. But I often find that if you do that too much, you're going to burn yourself out super fast. Give yourself plenty of time to breathe. Like, this is going to sound stupid, but Eminem, I think I've talked about this before. Eminem, he's one of the greatest rap artists of all time, right? We can all agree on that, right?
True.
Sure.
Booka?
Yeah.
You needed verbal confirmation. Okay, keep going.
Apparently.
I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. So Eminem is a literal rap god, but he has a work ethic for him. When 7 o'clock, for whatever posterity's sake, when 7 o'clock rolls around, he's done. He says, whatever is left, we'll work on it tomorrow. And I implore everyone to kind of implement that type of mindset. say, I'm going to work on this really hard for 2 hours, 3 hours, but 10 o'clock rolls around, 9 p.m., whatever the case may be, hard stop, and then enjoy the rest of your evening. You know, you will, I guarantee you will find yourself feeling a lot better about the entire process if you give yourself plenty of time to relax and enjoy life and not constantly be putting your nose to the grindstone.
Yeah.
All right. Well said, both of you.
Yeah.
Well, Connor, I hate to do this to you because I swear I could talk to you for another hour or so, but
ditto.
It's been an hour. Real quick before we get going, you mentioned podcasting and stuff. You got anything coming up podcasting wise? Are you getting back in the biz?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a hiatus this year. I haven't been doing it a lot lately, but earlier this year I did have a special guest episode where my co-host Bruce and we interviewed the legendary Wes Johnson. We talked to him about acting, about his experiences. So I'm really proud of that episode. You can go listen to it on Spotify. And yeah, like I said, I've been taking a little bit of break from podcasting, but I have some plans to hopefully end out the year with I'm not going to name names, but hopefully some other really exciting guest episodes. So awesome. I have some plans for that, hopefully.
That's great. Looking forward to it. How do we find your podcast? What's the name?
The podcast is called Lore Party, L-O-R-E Party, Lore Party, and you can find it on Spotify, all of our episodes right there. There's also, link in my bio on Twitter. You can find it there.
Awesome. Yes, don't forget to click on all of Connor's links. Go ahead and give him a follow if you can. Like McMorta says, remember to follow, leave a like, all that jazz if you can. We absolutely appreciate it. We're going to leave it there. Thank you, everybody. Always nice to talk to you, Connor. Hopefully won't be a couple years before we get to have you back again. Do it more often next time, but appreciate you being here. Again,
it's been a pleasure.
If you have anything you want us to talk about, you can either talk to us over on Discord, give us ideas for topics, or if you want us to listen to your audio, just drop it in there. We'd love to see it. You can email us too, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com if you don't do the Discord thing. But if you do, we'd love to have you in the community. Go ahead and click on the link that's in the description and come on in and have some time. Again, thanks to everybody who was here. Byte VR, Magmorta, Fire and Brimstone. You guys are all awesome. Don't forget to come check out our live recordings. We do them on YouTube every noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. East, wherever your time zone magic takes you, or if it's like super evening, like for Fire and Brimstone. On Sundays, yes. Thank you, Eldurrino. Appreciate that. Next intro will be me. I've got a lot to think about. I think today's episode is giving me some ideas. So we'll go from there. And again, thanks, everybody. Catch you all next time.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And remember to drink your water.
Yes, there it is.
That's right.
Bye, team.